Hello all and welcome to I Have an Urban Mobility question for you. 2021, as it happened with 2020, has made a point in our history. We were locked down at home, planes were stuck at the airports and streets were emptied of human beings. Nature then took over and animals came and took the cities. Images such as dolphins in Venice or deer in Italy hit the headlines of news, which had become the only window to the external world for us. After 1 year and a half, part of our normality has come back, and it may be now the time to wonder how we can contribute to reduce pollution in our cities. Reduce the number of trips you take in your car, reduce or eliminate fireplace and wood stove use, avoid burning leaves, trash and other materials, avoid using gas-powered lawn and garden equipment are only a few examples. But there are many others so incorporated in our daily routines that we do not even realize of their existence. Let's see how you can become a sustainable change agent within your city.
Representatives from cities all over the world come to Amsterdam to learn about its long-term dedication and investment in policies and on-street infrastructure that support cycling. One of the most salient lessons that they learn from the Dutch is to integrate bicycle planning with high-capacity, high-frequency public transit or future transit projects. Because nearly 50% of all train passengers in the Netherlands arrive at the station by bicycle. So this means that the network of bicycle paths feeds public transport and creates its own system. It's called the bike train system. This concept really inspired one of our partners in Burgenland, Austria, in the suburbs of Vienna. After seeing the successful elements of the system here in Amsterdam, they're planning to add on-street bikeways that lead to local train stations, new signage and wayfinding for cyclists, and also, of course, plenty of bike racks at the stations themselves. For Burgenland and many other cities we work with, change came down to a clarity of understanding among different stakeholders that cycling is not just a personal choice. It can be designed, it can be incentivized, and in this case, it can benefit many parties like the city as well as the public transport agency, because more people bicycling means more customers for public transport. Of course, you need the technical design skills, and that means also openness to new designs and new regulations. But crucial are the very context-dependent skills like relationship building, negotiating, and political and regulatory maneuvering necessary to be bold enough to put bicycle infrastructure on the agenda, but also to keep it on the agenda through every election cycle for the next several decades.
An increasing share of Oslo's public buses run on green electricity. But already since 2014, some of the buses have been using biogas from energy-rich organic food waste as their fuel. The biogas buses have lower noise, lower particle pollution and lower climate emissions than conventional buses. The Romerike biogas plant near Oslo was delivered by Cambi and produces sufficient biogas to reduce emissions with the equivalent of about 8,500 cars. The patented Cambi process also eliminates unpleasant smell and dangerous pathogens and converts the food waste into biogas and organic fertilizers. The rapid green transformation required by the Paris Agreement is only possible through close cooperation between ambitious municipalities and innovative technology companies. The Romerike biogas plant is a good example of such a collaboration, where the municipality aimed over and beyond their minimum legal requirements and selected a technology that embraces the circular economy. But the plant is now an inspiration for cities throughout the world. To reduce the emissions now, it is essential that municipalities think strategically about how to achieve their targets. One cannot wait for the ideal technology, one must act, and the best technology available on the market right now has to do.
city, as the first city in the world, has developed a personal carbon trading model and application. The idea of the application is that it visualizes and tracks the mobility of the user, and the user will be rewarded for more sustainable transport choices.
Well, I downloaded it right away, and the reason actually is that I want to be part of this program, and then of course I want to know what is the amount of carbon dioxide I put in the nature.
It could be environmental awareness, it could be the incentives, it could be health, or it could even be the social pressure. The key competencies for a city to achieve a sustainable change like this are leadership, willingness to take action, as well as the broad understanding of the problem or the challenge that we are facing. We need both stick and the carrot in order to achieve the change that we want to see.
You see, we can all play a role in making our cities more sustainable. As you may know, reduced pollution is one of the main goals of the European Green Deal, and it is certainly making an impact on the quality of citizens' lives. These improvements are precisely what we would like to discuss with our first guest, Sigrid Ehrmann, Innovation Officer at the EIT Urban Mobility. Sigrid, welcome.
Thank you, Jezebel, and hello to everyone.
Sigrid, we just watched a video in which we deep dived more into what the Netherlands has developed to reduce pollution. We all know that the less polluted the planet is, the higher the quality of life in cities will be. In this regard, Sigrid, could you please share with us some clear examples of the benefits that reduction of pollution may bring to our cities?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Air pollution is what we could call a permanent pandemic that our cities are fighting. Worldwide, 9 out of 10 people breathe air that exceeds the safe limits as set by the World Health Organization. Air pollution is considered as the greatest environmental risk to health. In Europe alone, an estimated 400,000 people die every year from exposure to fine particles in polluted air. Poor air quality is a high-risk factor for both acute and chronic respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. We know that people with these underlying medical conditions are most likely at greater risk of developing severe disease from COVID-19. Air pollution also affects our children and can lead to an increased risk for asthma, bronchitis, and lung damage. According to a recent study, daily levels of air pollution can also affect the performance and attention of school children. One of the major contributors to air pollution and the source with the highest acute effects on mortality is traffic. In Barcelona, for example, around 500,000 cars enter and leave the city every day. As you mentioned, we have seen some astonishing changes to our cities during the pandemic lockdown. One of them was the drastic reduction of air pollution. During the first lockdown in Spain, nitrogen dioxide levels in cities dropped by around 50%. The Barcelona Institute for Global Health estimates that this might have prevented around 150 premature deaths in Spanish cities. So we have seen the benefits and the improvements to our health and quality of life that better air quality can bring.
In all this, Sigrid, citizens play a key role. Tell us what are the main actions we, each of us, can do to reduce pollution and contribute to a more sustainable urban mobility in our cities.
Yes, there are many ways that we as citizens can contribute to better air quality in our cities. As you mentioned, one of them is to reduce the number of car trips we take. Furthermore, we can carpool or use car-sharing services instead of taking individual trips. Other factors, such as the use of fuel-efficient or electric vehicles, can also reduce pollution. Even better, though, of course, if we take public transport or switch to active modes of transport, such as cycling or walking. In the past years, we have seen many cities expanding their cycling networks and introducing pop-up bike lanes and the concept of the walkable city. Through COVID-related cycling measures, around 1,000 kilometers of bike lanes and car-free streets have been created in European cities. And thanks to these measures, active mobility is now a much safer and easier option. But there is, of course, more than the individual contribution we can make as citizens. We can also participate in citizen science and citizen engagement in projects to evaluate and improve air pollution. Another thing we can do is get active in grassroots movements and neighborhood associations that help raise awareness and achieve political change to create more sustainable cities.
Sigrid Ehrmann, Innovation Officer for the EIT Urban Mobility, thanks a lot for your time today. Let's deep dive more now into the urban mobility solutions allowing the reduction of pollution. For that, I would like to welcome the Director of Innovation Hub South, Daniel Serra. Daniel, welcome.
Hi Isabel, thank you for the invitation.
Daniel, tell us, which are the main urban mobility solutions that can help better reduce the pollution in the cities?
In fact, we are continually exposed to the negative impact of climate change, which intensively remind us about the urgent need to intensify actions towards sustainable development. Passenger and freight transport have a significant share in the urban air, and therefore they must be prioritized. Urban planning is how we design a city, that is, where you allocate the streets, green areas, bus stops in a city. We could say that these spaces are the hardware of a city, and then transport planning is how to get people from one place to the other. There is a link between how you plan a city and how people get around, and of course, the exposures generated like pollution. Reducing car traffic is a need for cities. And the way to do it is by introducing more public space for sustainable mobility solutions, like cycling, walking, and public transport. But at the same time, they are much more healthier options. As well, we need to promote the use of shared mobility, like e-scooters or bikes, to make a more rational use of micromobility services.
In this regard, Daniel, which is the role that the EIT Urban Mobility plays in all this?
At the EIT Urban Mobility, we are aware of these challenges, and we work hand in hand with the citizens to figure out innovative solutions. As a citizen-centered organization, our role is to emphasize user needs in the ongoing mobility transformation. And how will we do that? Through innovation and dialogue with all the mobility stakeholders. The aim is to accelerate solutions of the transition toward a user-centric, integrated, and truly multimodal mobility, taking advantage of this pan-European knowledge and innovation community of over 100 leading companies, cities, universities, and research centers. In the EIT Urban Mobility, we put cities in the driver's seat of this change.
Quite an intense agenda, isn't it? But our activities don't stop here, and more solutions are under development. Daniel, tell us which solutions have been currently supported by the EIT Urban Mobility so that we can reduce considerably the pollution and its negative effects in medium and long term.
At EIT Urban Mobility, we are developing city pilots and living labs networks to get the most of challenges to improve the air quality in our cities. Moreover, the concept of tactical urbanism gained attention and accelerated, reorganizing public space with small changes that can succeed even after the COVID-19 crisis. Farming's project is the demonstration of a flexible approach to cities' streets. Many cities are launching battery electric buses to reduce emissions caused by public transport fleets. A wide spectrum of charging technologies and operational schemes have been developed to decarbonize bus systems. In the Ultimate project, we improve public transport system to fight against climate change. We help cities and public transport companies to better deploy electrical buses in cities. Many European cities are struggling to reduce the use of private cars, with only 1 or 2 people in them. On-demand buses, offering more flexible and efficient transport, will help drivers to use more public transport and reduce trips and congestions in cities. This year, with Multi-Depart project, we are developing 3 pilot projects in Spain, Portugal, and Greece to test different solutions on demand transport. As a result, these 3 projects will accelerate the transformation of European cities in more livable urban spaces with less pollution.
Daniel Serra, Director of Innovation Hub South for the EIT Urban Mobility, thanks a lot for your time with us today.
Thanks, Isabel. It has been a pleasure being with all of you today.
Daniel just explained to us some of the actions carried out to reduce pollution. In all this, startups play a key role, and one clear example of this is Hopu, a startup that we supported last year in our accelerator program. Hopu brings urban innovation through key techs as artificial intelligence, IoT, and data quality. And to learn more about this startup, I'm happy to welcome Cuevas, Director of Innovation for Hopu. First of all, tell us what is Hopu about and how did you realize that such a solution was needed in our society?
Hopu brings urban innovation through the latest technology such as artificial intelligence, IoT, and data quality. We engage citizens and decision makers to guarantee that the data is understandable by everybody, intuitive and usable. We are there to support any decision, urban development, and digital transformation through data-powered tools with dashboards, decision support tools, and IoT devices to monitor impact, sustainability, and environment. We mix data, technology, and people to enable powerful innovation tools. As started by the European Commission in the Green Deal strategy, Europe expects to be climate neutral by 2050. One of the priorities to reach is rolling out cleaner, cheaper, and healthier private and public transport forms. To reduce 90% of gas emissions by 2050, digitalization becomes one of the major drivers. Over the last few years, the IT industry has been working on solutions to provide this service aligning with the policy strategies.
We all know that founding a startup is a very complex task, which linked to the current circumstances may make the process even tougher. So, tell us, what were the main challenges Hopu's team had to face to set up this startup and how did you manage?
In the sector of new technologies, the major challenge of companies is the continuous evolution according to trends and new products and services. For that, companies such as Hopu have to be ready to comply with the market requirements with a clear differentiation value. To prepare the company for that, Hopu has a multidisciplinary team of 35 workers that are ready to evolve the product, the service, and development. Directors teams is composed of Antonio Jarra, Dr. Antonio Jarra, CEO and founder of Hopu. He has extensive experience in entrepreneurship, MBA, and he has experience working in companies such as Otis, Carrier, and advisor to Fujitsu and Microsoft. In other hands, David Fernandez, CTO of Hopu, with 8 years of experience in IoT sector, Ehrmann Molina, CIO, who worked in Telefonica Chair in 2015, and he is expert in software, cybersecurity, and quality of that. Dr. Andrea Gomez, CMO, PhD in marketing and expert in products and service development, and finally me, Cuevas, CTI of chemical engineering, industrial engineering with experience in industrial production and calibration and quality.
I know that your startup was enrolled in our first batch of the Business Creation Accelerator program. In a nutshell, what did it mean for you to pass through our program?
This opportunity is a recognition for Hopu such as SMEs that is growing. We are happy to be part of the acceleration program, to have the opportunity to learn how to expand Hopu in the European market with experts. In addition, this program supports for us the help to be more competitive, resilient, and adaptable for the smart cities market.
Thanks a lot for being with us today and keep up the good work to make our planet more sustainable. So let's now recap all this amount of information. We've learned about the role of citizens in reduction of pollution. we've identified some of the current and future initiatives that are launched by the EIT Urban Mobility. We've deep dived more into the startup Hopu and its work, and now let's learn more about the projects in our portfolio. Specifically, let's focus on Carolina, which stands for Real-Time Pollution City Map through Collaborative Sensing and Analysis. And for that, I warmly welcome Raul Urbano from Automotive Technology Center of Galicia. Raul, welcome.
Thank you for this great introduction.
Raul, tell us more about Carolina. What have been the main challenges you've faced while implementing this project and how it contributes to reduce the pollution in the cities?
Traditionally, air pollution is monitored by a few fixed stations deployed at specific stick locations, which have a very small city area coverage and become inefficient as mobility changes over the years, not to mention the maintenance costs. The mission of CTAG in the project Carolina was to explore a disruptive, low-cost air quality measurement system that integrates dynamic sensors as part of it. However, the product available on the market failed on this point. This forced us to design and manufacture of a customized plug-and-play device with a precise configuration capable of collecting street-level measurement and fitting with limitations on megatronic and gas sensor requirements while you are driving your car. The project Carolina contributes to upgrade traditional air quality monitoring systems from static stations to a hybrid model. Our solution combines data from fixed stations, vehicles, and community-based sensors. The conclusions obtained are based on the early adopter city of Istanbul, which represents a clear example of megacity to help the rest of the European cities to adopt this model. Finally, the engagement of citizens will contribute to measure air quality linked to the most realistic mobility patterns, reduce infrastructure investment, as well as contribute to empower citizens on the decision-making process towards air pollution enforcement and regulations in cities.
That sounds like an intense agenda for the last months indeed, but I guess we are not stopping here. Can you please share with us what are the next steps for Carolina?
In the short term, and from the technical point of view, CTAG is exploring how to improve the first prototypes achieved in Carolina, especially on big data processing. In the medium to long term, CTAG is exploring how to scale up this hybrid solution in different living labs to improve its integration with traditional air monitoring service, as well as how to launch a citizen engagement program to co-create solutions to reduce pollution in cities, as, for example, by entering new actors such as bikers or micromobility solutions as part of this community-based network.
Raul Urbano, project leader for Carolina for the Automotive Technology Center of Galicia, thanks a lot for being with us today.
Bye.
As you can see, reduction of pollution is a key challenge for us and something to which we are committed strongly. But not only us, cities with which we work from the City Club are also committed to this. And numerous are the examples of strategies put in place to reduce the pollution in different areas. Let me welcome our last guest of today's video blog, Jordi Casas, from City Club for the EIT Urban Mobility. Jordi, welcome.
Thank you, Isabel.
Jordi, reduction of pollution is one of the main goals for the EU Green Deal. Can you tell us some of the strategies that our cities have put into place to contribute to achieve such a goal?
Yes, indeed. Reducing air pollution is a priority for the members of City Club. A large majority of European citizens live in an urban environment, with over 60% living in urban areas of over 10,000 inhabitants. Urban mobility accounts for 40% of all CO2 emissions of road transport and up to 70% of other pollutants from transport. European cities increasingly face problems caused by transport and traffic, and the question on how to enhance mobility while at the same time reducing congestion, accidents, and pollution is a common challenge to all major cities in Europe.
That sounds intense and a huge roadmap to be followed. But there is a lot of and a huge work behind each of these initiatives. But let's talk now about results, Jordi. Can you tell us what are the major achievements that these strategies have already accomplished?
Well, in seeking solutions to urban mobility and air pollution, it has become clear that there needs to be significant behavior change away from car use towards walking and cycling, often in combination with high quality and high frequency public transport. Experience shows that isolated measures can only have a limited impact, while integrating packages of measures can positively reinforce each other and help to overcome implementation barriers. In this regard, Isabel, cities that have achieved better results are those that have implemented a sustainable urban mobility plan. In fact, up to now, the successful strategies to promote a model shift in our cities are those that combine measures to push away car drivers from using their cars, while at the same time implementing measures to pull users towards public transport, walking, cycling, and other sustainable modes of transport. Some good examples of push measures to avoid the use of cars in our cities are the low emission zones implemented in Barcelona, Munich and Amsterdam, the congestion charges in Milano and Stockholm, the access restrictions in city centers, or the parking management schemes in most European cities. However, cities have also realized that urban mobility strategies are just a piece of the puzzle in a greater whole when it comes to improving air quality. Green mobility is now seen in our cities as an essential part of their vision for green growth and quality of life. This new approach is pushing European cities towards adopting a cross-cutting approach to reach carbon neutrality.
Jordi Casas, City Club Officer for the EIT Urban Mobility, thanks a lot for your time with us today. Interesting to learn about all those amazing initiatives to contribute to reduce the pollution in cities. Bravo! This is nowadays even more important than before. The COVID-19 pandemic has evidenced that in a year in which human beings' health was at stake, the planet told us out loud that its health also matters. Reduction of pollution due to mobility restrictions proved that nature can revive easily in sustainable urban mobility models. What a strong message to cheer us up to work harder and better in reduce pollution and improve cities' livability, right? If you like this video blog, stay tuned. Next month will be the turn for intermodality. See you soon!